We're entering the segment of the course now where we're going to talk about international career options and how you can get more involved in the global community. So with me today, I have Jean Preston. She's a member of the U.S. Foreign Service and has served in 5 countries and 6 tours overseas. So welcome, Jean. Thank you for being with me today.
Thank you so much. Suzette, my pleasure.
So tell us what the Foreign Service is.
The Foreign Service are the people who represent America overseas. It's composed of officers that do what you tend to think of as the classic diplomatic work, and specialists who provide all kinds of different services that require more specialized training. Most employees work for the State Department, but there are also Foreign Service officers who work for the Foreign Agricultural Service, the Foreign Commercial Service, U.S. Agency for International Development, and some other agencies.
So if you were to become a Foreign Service officer, what are the kinds of things that you do when you are serving your country overseas?
We have 5 main areas of specialization, and so if you were a management officer, you would be managing the whole operations of the embassy, from human resources to security. If you were a consular officer, you would be helping Americans who had trouble overseas or issuing visas to foreigners that want to come to the United States. If you were a public diplomacy officer, you would be working with the media or cultural affairs, including all those wonderful exchange programs that some people have the great pleasure of participating in. If you were an economic officer, you'd be tracking what's going on in the local economy, reporting on it, helping find export opportunities for U.S. businesses, and promoting a level playing field for U.S. businesses. And if you were a political officer, you'd be reporting on the political situation and advocating for things like democracy and human rights.
So let's say a student decides that they would like to become a Foreign Service officer. How do you do that? What is the process? What is the first step that you should take?
The first step is to go to a website, www.careers.state.gov, and say that you would like to sign up for the Foreign Service exam, Foreign Service test. And on the website, it'll tell you exactly when and where it's being offered. It's generally 3 times a year, and the first one this year will be in October, this school year. If you pass the written exam, then there's a qualifications review. If you pass that, you go to an oral exam. If you pass that, then there are a few more hurdles, like a medical clearance and a security clearance, and then you're put on a roster for each of those 5 areas that I mentioned. And you have 18 months in which to be chosen to join the Foreign Service. So it's a bit of a long process, and historically, about 2 to 4% of the people who have taken the written exam actually end up passing the whole process and receiving a job offer.
So it is a rigorous process then, but what if you don't pass the exam the first time around? Is it possible to take it again? Can you try again and again to become a Foreign Service officer?
Absolutely possible to take it again and again, and many very successful Foreign Service officers took it several times before they joined. So no one should be disheartened if they don't pass the first time around.
What about second career options in the Foreign Service? So let's say you go on and you maybe go to law school, or you do something else with your life first and then decide, hey, I'd like to work for the U.S. government and work overseas. Is that possible?
There are many people in the Foreign Service who have had first careers and then decided that they wanted to run away and join the circus, essentially. They wanted someone to pay them to live overseas and do interesting things. And also to acquire a government pension and health insurance. There are people who have been doing very interesting things overseas, but that maybe weren't going to pay for their students' college education. And they find that the Foreign Service is a great way to combine wanderlust and adventures with having the same employer and having stable benefits.
So what are some of the skills that students could develop, or perhaps even later in life? What are some of the skills? For example, communication skills, other kinds of things that students should think about as they are preparing for the exam or as they are, thinking about entering the Foreign Service?
Well, certainly writing is crucial, because whenever you've talked to someone or you need to explain what's going on in a country, you need to express that clearly in writing. Then learning foreign languages is very useful, because of course when you're overseas you're going to be talking to people who speak many other languages. Just in general, adaptability is very important, because you need to be someone who can pick up and go to a completely different culture in 2 or 3 years and enjoy that and then move on to something very different than that. Management, of course, because especially in the consular and management areas, we have large staffs and you need to be able to manage those people effectively. One of the most interesting things about being in the Foreign Service is just getting out there and meeting people from other countries and trying the food, learning about different cultures, just seeing different perspectives on the world. It's in some ways, it's really the most interesting career you could possibly have.
Are there any particular parts of the world that students should be studying today? Are there any certain, demands for, I don't know, Arabic or Chinese perhaps, or
Yes.
Portuguese for Brazil? I mean, are there certain high demand areas?
Certainly, if you've passed all of those tests and you're getting onto the roster, there are additional points for hard languages, speaking hard language as well, such as Chinese and Arabic. We also have so many people that want to come visit the United States right now from countries like China and Brazil in particular, that we have been bringing some people on for what's called a limited non-career appointment as consular adjudicators. That means that it's a chance to go overseas for a few years if you speak Portuguese well or Chinese well, and to represent the embassy, to interview people who are interested in coming to the United States, and to issue visas if that seems appropriate according to U.S. law. It's not a way into the Foreign Service permanently, but it's a great way to see if you're interested in joining, to see firsthand what it's really like.
So finally, Jean, can you tell us what maybe some ultimate advice would be for those students who are interested in the Foreign Service? What should they really focus on? Should they become an area expert, a linguist, somebody who's just really great at communication? What about English language skills? I understand that you need to be able to use the English language really well. So what is some kind of final advice that you would provide to students who are interested in the Foreign Service?
Once folks did a study of what success on different parts of the Foreign Service exam corresponded with success in the Foreign Service. And the one part of the exam that really did have a very high correlation with success in the Foreign Service was a written expression of English. You need many other skills as well, but that's one that across the board will help you.
Well, thank you very much for being with us today, Jean, and talking about the Foreign Service.
It's my pleasure. If anyone wants to come see me at room 313 in the Chemistry Building, be happy to make an appointment.
So students, if you're interested in a career in the Foreign Service, go to the State Department website, go to careers.state.gov, and be sure to look at the videos, the interviews with those who are in the Foreign Service. This is very helpful to you. Good luck.